Hi, I'm Joe DeCamera. Welcome to Abington News and Views. Recently, the Pennsylvania legislature passed Senate Bill 711, which makes extensive revisions on gaming laws, allowing table games in Pennsylvania casinos. Pennsylvania State Representative Josh Shapiro is with us to talk about his decision to vote against the final version. Representative Shapiro, nice to have you with us.
It's good to be with you, Joe, and I've been privileged to be on this show many times.
Table games in Pennsylvania. Why did you vote against the bill?
Well, Joe, look, the purported reasons for adopting table games in Pennsylvania was to both reform our gaming system, B, to generate new revenue to help, and B, to help generate new revenue for our budget. And ultimately, when you judge these bills, you're never going to get 100% of what you want. And sometimes there's bills where you get 80, 85, 90% of what you want, you still vote yes. But fundamentally, I believe that this bill failed on both accounts. Number one, the reforms were inadequate. And number two, it wasn't generating enough revenue for the Commonwealth. And, you know, frankly, gaming is not a benign thing. I mean, there are a lot of costs to gaming in communities and in our society. And so if you're going to take really, I think that the major step of moving forward and legalizing table games, you better get the revenue for it. You better do it in a way that I think is responsible. And I think the bill failed on both accounts.
You said this bill was not a good deal for Pennsylvania taxpayers. Why not?
Well, let me explain what I mean by that. Here's the way gaming works in Pennsylvania and in other states. Right now we have slot machines, and so 55% of the revenue generated from slot machines ends up being taxed. That's a pretty reasonable rate compared to other states. Other states that have slot machines, like West Virginia, for example, which is one of our bordering states, taxes the table games at a rate of 34%. Here, the tax rate was set at 12%. And let me make it clear, this isn't taxes being paid by casino goers. These are taxes being paid by the casino operators, the casino owners. And frankly, a 12% tax rate wasn't going to yield the necessary revenue for us at the state level for, in my opinion, justifying legalizing the expansion of gaming.
You mentioned the tax rate. Was there an independent analysis done to assess the true market value of the tax rate?
Joe, it's a great question. And what I was saying the entire time was, look, you can't just take this 12% tax rate because that's what the gaming industry said they'd be willing to pay. And that's what happened here. The casino industry and their lobbyists sat around with some of the legislative leaders in Harrisburg and said, we're only willing to pay 12%. And you know what? Unfortunately, several of the leaders in Harrisburg said, you know what? That's good enough for us. What I have said all along is these casino owners and operators shouldn't be put in a position to set their own tax rate. That's ludicrous. That's like me saying to my 8-year-old, what time do you really want to go to bed at night, and letting her decide that. It doesn't work that way. The way it should have worked is that we should have an independent analysis done over what the market will allow and what the best tax rate ought to be. And unfortunately, every time I went to legislative leaders and I said, you guys need to do an independent analysis, figure out what a responsible tax rate should be, figure out what we need for our coffers in the state to be able to sustain things like education, property tax relief, investments in health care. And each step of the way they said no. And, you know, query why people didn't want to do an independent analysis. It seems to me that there were a lot of sweetheart deals going on here. And I came to Harrisburg to fight for, you know, my constituents, for the average Pennsylvanian. I didn't go to Harrisburg to fight to help casino guys get richer. I came there to help make sure that the people of Pennsylvania did better. And I think under this bill, the people of Pennsylvania are the ones that lose out.
Are there any earmarks in this bill?
This bill is loaded and laden with pork and pork projects and projects for special interests. In order to secure the necessary votes to pass it, ultimately members were able to go to leaders, the governor, what have you, not so much the governor, but legislative leaders, and say, in order to get my yes vote, I want $1 million for this, or $10 million for that, or what have you. And I think we've all seen this play out in Washington, D.C. It's somewhat rare for it to play out in Harrisburg, but it did. And one of my big objections to this bill is for every dollar that went out in pork, that was $1 less going to help the people of Pennsylvania. Now, To be sure, some of the money that was being set aside in this bill for special projects are good things. I mean, there was some money that was set aside in one district for a hospital. There was money set aside in another district for a community college. I have no problem with funding hospitals and community colleges. I've fought for funding for Abington Memorial Hospital and Holy Redeemer, as well as Montgomery County Community College. But there's a right way to do things and a wrong way. The right way is to fund these through the traditional budget process. This was the wrong way. By loading up the bill with pork and earmarks in order to secure votes is not the right way to get it done.
How can our viewers get updates on this and other issues from your office?
Well, look, certainly anyone who wants to visit with me in my office, you just call up, make an appointment. I'm happy to sit with you. If you want to call me, you can call us in our office at 215-886-7376. If you want really breaking news and you want to find out what's going on almost on a moment-to-moment basis, you can follow me on Twitter. I'm on Twitter, and I'm putting out information about what's happening in the community and in Harrisburg all the time. My Twitter username is Josh_Shapiro. And of course, you can always find us online through my websites at pahouse.com/Shapiro or joshshapiro.org. So we've got lots of ways to join us in our online community. You can stop by my office and visit me there. You can call me, and of course, you can always write me a letter. We'll always be responsive. And frankly, when I hear back from my constituents, as I have in the wake of this gaming vote, overwhelmingly supportive of the decision that we made, it really helps empower me to do my job better. And look, let me be clear and let me be honest. This was not an easy vote to cast. The vast majority of members of my party, as well as the governor, were supportive of this bill. And so to stand up to your own party, to stand up to the governor in many ways, and to vote your conscience and vote in a way that I think reflects the values of your district is not always easy. And so to have the input of my constituents helps me do my job and helps me be more effective for you. So I hope you'll be in touch, and I hope you'll keep in touch.
Thank you, Representative Shapiro, for explaining your vote against the bill and for joining us here on Abington News and Views. A pleasure to have you on.
Thank you, Joe. It's great to be with you.